Hello there, outliers. Niiamah Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We have together a incredible roundtable that's set aside for you. Today, we get a chance to spend time with a very special outlier who's out creating in the world, and I'm really excited to see how she continues to look at her world and continues to expand her thoughts in a meaningful way. It's none other than Christi Schreiber. Christy, I'm really glad to be in space with you. Thank you so much for saying yes to this invitation.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. It was a surprise and didn't really know kind of where it was going to go. And I'm glad that I reached back out and have connected with you well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I am as well. The way I like to look at this here is like it's all a surprise, more or less, right? And the conversation is going to evolve as it needs to evolve throughout the conversation. We'll make it work. I want to make sure that outliers get a chance to get to know you. Do you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Sure. My name's Christi Schreiber. I'm the founder and president and CEO of Color Basis. We do image consulting and personal branding, and for people with credibility related businesses. If credibility relates to their bottom line or affects their bottom line, then that's our client. And so, hair, makeup, wardrobe, anything that creates the visual personal brand. So, just about connecting, using their brand to connect and inspire and help thrive in their business. That's what fuels me.
It's really interesting when you talk about like if credibility like has something to do with their bottom line. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, where like do people get away with not having like credibility out there and play out? But in this conversation, I'm going to speak to credibility because there's something that I know about like the way that you do things that end up like helping to uh, I don't know, just like grease the wheels on credibility or actually augment it, right? So this one, I'm actually going to come into you for a bit of like the way that you see things here. Um, but like, given your experience, what do most people think about credibility that really doesn't have like any like real play in the game, doesn't really have any more weight in the game? And if they really knew credibility, what would it really be about?
Oh, that's good. That's deep. I'm gonna have to think on that. So, credibility is trustworthiness, and it's being like showing up as who you are, being credible, being trustworthy, being knowledgeable, being able to be seen that way. Credible to me is, hmm, gosh, you trust them, you believe them, you can make really impactful decisions based on the information that they give and feel good about it.
This is when you say trust, like I heard you say that like a couple different times. I was like, I feel like this is what's underneath all of this here. And
And did I mention trust?
yeah, and like there's because like there's something about what you do that ends up like my understanding of it is that like you're able to create almost like a visual trust link between the person delivering a message and the person that's hearing it, right? Does that feel fairly like fair to put into the conversation?
Yes, very much so. My job, my role is to remove distractions and bring everything, all the focus to the story and the message that's being told. So and a lot of people think, oh, image consulting. And I didn't mention this earlier, but specifically news talent has been where my niche has been for almost 30 years in television news. And now the landscape is completely changing in that world. And so there's different opportunities that have presented themselves, which is great. And a lot of times people think, oh, hair, makeup, wardrobe, that's, what does that have to do with anything? And it we are visual beings first and foremost, and that will never change, no matter what's trending, what's hot, what's not, we are all visually affected by what we see. And they show that, studies from babies, infants who have not been shaped by any kind of sway one way or the other. It's fascinating, the studies that are it just reveals how visual we are, like it or not. Is it fair? No. Is it reality? Yes. So my job is to help people understand that and to use it to their advantage for their career and for their path and the message that they want to get out. So what does that mean? That means if you are speaking to a news audience and you are delivering information that masses need to hear, not a very targeted audience, then you've got to appear credible. You need to look like you know what you're talking about, and then people will decide as you speak if you really do know what you're talking about. But you got to hook them with the visual part of it first, because you can be the smartest person in the room and know all the answers, and something haywire with what's going on visually, and your message will never get heard because people won't take certain things seriously as they will with another person who is polished. And I want to communicate, this has nothing to do with attractiveness. This has
Mm.
to do with not being distracting. So it doesn't matter what you look like. Anybody can be credible with having the distractions minimized and having your features played up. So, but to say that you can take someone who is perfectly polished, credible, they enter the room, everybody assumes they're going to be the keynote or the person in charge, the most knowledgeable in the room, and then they start talking, and you're like, okay, but they got your attention first. So you listen to them long enough to figure out that they don't know what they're talking about, as opposed to this person on the other side of the room who is, disheveled in maybe a conservative world, whatever their environment is, that knows everything, nails it, and people just go, they're distracted by what's happening in a visual realm. So that's my job, to really help people be heard, but they have to be seen first.
I really love the way you just put that last bit, by the way. All right. Yeah, this because there's a lot of outliers that are listening to this that are like, they're like, okay, like, why is my message getting out there? I want to go out and reach more people, so on and so forth. And some of them are in professional settings where, like, I don't, let's say this, some of them are their studio is the boardroom, right?
Yes.
Others of them are like, hey, I'm working with clients, or they're standing on stage, right? And what I'm hearing from you, what I think is really interesting is like, it's like, if you want them to listen, like, one of the best ways to go and do that is just make sure that, like when they see you, they want to listen.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that doesn't mean a suit and tie for everyone,
Mhm.
because a studio is going to be a completely different dress as well. So no,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
This is fun for me because there's a few different things that are going on through my mind when you're talking. One is just like some like video clips I saw in the past that have just stayed with me, which is like, like world-class violinist plays in like subway platform, and no one knows that they're getting like a world-class thing because the environment, like visually, you're not expecting to have a virtuoso like at like in this environment. You're like, your mind's not there, and there's nothing that's actually pulling you in, as opposed to like if they had created something or like something to go around. So that's one thing that's just playing out for me right now, because I'm thinking about the people who have the messages. They're working so hard on the copy, they're working on so many things, but they miss like that first bit of like, will people even open the door, or like stop the scroll, or to yeah, to change the channel, like to actually start paying attention.
Absolutely. Well, and now more than ever, we are so visually driven, way more in the last, what, 7, 8 years, because of
Mm.
social media. Because now, when social media first came out, we just kind of typed little, hey, I'm going to the movies tonight, da, da, and now, and then we started putting some images in with it. Oh, people started stopping and looking at the images. Now, if you make a post without an image, who's even going to stop? What's the image? It's visual. It so I mean, it's, um and judgments are made, split second judgments and assumptions are made in, it used to be the 7 seconds. You've heard this, the
Yeah. Right.
Albert Mehrabian study that was silent messages that was, gosh, I think the 70s or something, which is still relevant information today. But guess what? Our time frame, our attention span has gotten even shorter. We make those judgments even faster now. Like the second I showed up on your podcast, your audience is already determining they like me, they don't like me, are they going to listen to me, or they're not going to listen to me? Maybe she has something to offer, maybe she doesn't. And it's all based on this right here because I hadn't even said a word. So it's funny to me when a lot of people, and the thing that's so hard now, and I will say in a post-COVID world, appearance is much more of a challenge than it ever was before because of the game changed. You mentioned game. I'm a coach, so I play the game. So the game changed in what we understand is visually credible, and for we were as a world, we were in shock. We didn't know what was happening. How long is this going to go on? We're doing news broadcasts from home. We're trapped in our home. We can't go out to eat. We can't go buy a car. We can't do anything but watch TV. Well, guess what? Because the restaurants are closed, the car dealerships are closed. Do you think anybody is buying any advertising for your shows to continue? Nope. So what does the station do? They produce news. They have their staff. What do? You push out news. There was more news that was pushed out during COVID than ever, that to my knowledge, ever. And more people watching it because you had nothing else to do. And then they're producing from their homes, and then it became the norm where you all of a sudden see this polished, just everything, buttoned up, super conservative, um, now is broadcasting from their home in a very casual shirt, wrinkled pants, the cat coming through, kids making noise in the backgrounds. Um, and so it changed us,
Mhm.
and what we how we showed up for ourselves, it changed us. And how we showed up for other people, it changed us. And I think it's finding that way back, not all the way back where we were, because I do think that the benefit of what it did for us is it really added so much of a human element to the broadcasters, to the news world, to the talking heads, as they call it. And so it brought more of a human element to them and that world, and which I think is amazing. But then it just got more where professionalism got put behind everything else,
Mhm.
and then it just never went back. I mean, it's starting to kind of come back in, but it's still different. And for the people that, anyone that is entering the workforce since COVID, they don't have a representation of what someone their age or just slightly over them, they don't know what credibility dressing is. They don't know. And that's interesting to me because I was talking to, do I need to shut up? I'm just yapping away. Yeah,
Keep,
I'm gonna take a
keep go,
breath.
keep go,
I'm gonna
keep
take
go.
a drink.
All right, go ahead there. So as you're talking here, Chrissy, like I am, there's a couple of things that are flowing through for me. One of them was when you talked about like when you're speaking to the masses, and one of the things I got there, I was like, oh, Christy really knows how to like set people up for the masses. Like, and you were really distinct. You're like, look, if you're going for like something for a niche or something like that, it's different. But like it reminds me of crossing the chasm, where they're like, hey, the masses like that they want to know that this is like tested, it works, you're credible, like they don't want to have to think about it. They want your like the visual and the audio to just like completely like align. They're like, this is what I think you're gonna look like, and you do. And so now you're coming in that space. And so that was something that really caught me, Christy, where I think a lot of us get caught between like, well, it used to work. And it's like, yeah, but like you've decided to up level your game. You decided to play in a different arena. You're playing with a larger market that's at place, and as a result of that, they're looking for something different. They're looking for something different, and there was something in what you said there that really struck me to put that into space around like, hey, know the game that you're playing, and know like and like just generally like what the various pieces of not necessarily the rules, but like the stadium, like what's the environment? You wouldn't show up to a basketball game with like, a ping pong ball. Like it's just not that game, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. Part of successful branding is obviously knowing your audience. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If you talk to anybody about marketing, they say, who's your audience?
Yeah.
Who do you want as your audience? And so knowing that is key. And so, people there, and it's funny, I have marketing buddies that I talk about this with, and everybody always says, especially when starting a new business or a new brand, they're like, well, who do you want to target? Who do you want? Everybody. I want the young moms, the fathers, no, you have to start in one space and then grow from there. And if your audience really is large, like the news audience, then you the larger the audience, the more conservative and the more just you want to come through because it's your message.
Okay.
Now,
You just said something here that I want to play into, right? Where you said like the just you that comes through because I'm listening, I'm thinking about different conversations I have with outliers, and I can imagine them being like, um, well, I want to be credible, but I also like I don't want to like give up who I am, right? And interestingly enough, you're like the more just you comes in. So like I can imagine that like being like a record break for people where they're like, well, if I want to come off polished and all these other things, I have to be something else, and like less of me needs to show up, and like more of something, more of whoever is ready for the masses, like needs to show in there, you know. And so that statement really strikes me. I love to go spend some time on that. So when you say like the like yeah, when you talk about like more of you being able to come in, especially when you go out to the masses, how does that like translate for you, especially in the work that you've seen?
uh, well, that's a great question and a way to put it in a way where there's when I say you, meaning mm, your your heartbeat of what your purpose is in why are you there for them in because what goes on out here is a reflection of what goes on in here. What I've seen from 30 years of doing this is that depending on what's going on in here can affect what's going on out here. And so it's really kind of lining up what is what may be going on in here, just make sure that it is being able to be received by what's going on out here until you get to a time because they don't always line up.
Hmm.
What's going on in here isn't always going to line up with a nice, clean, credible image because we're human. But you can't expect people to understand or trust or it sounds brutal, but even care about what's going on in here if they can't even hear you from what's happening out here. Because everything's fast, 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 fast. We need to know right when we look at you, I think this person might have something for me or not. Now, this is always for the most important thing is for first impressions and getting to know your brand and getting to know who you are. Because again, once you start the relationship, then all bets are off. Then you see it all, you see it clearly, but you got to get the hook. And if you don't have the visual hook, to grab your audience, no matter who that is, then it's going to be harder for you. Could it still happen? Absolutely. May it take longer than it would have had you, you know, targeted a little bit better with your brand? Yes. So, people always say, well, because I'm hired typically by someone's employer, not necessarily by themselves, about a company rebranding or wanting to level up or something like that. Now I'm getting more into the entrepreneurials and C-suites and all that, but historically that's what we've been. So there was always apprehension going into these sessions, going, well, everybody tells me how great I am. I don't know why you're here and what you're going to tell me. And it's I I just lay it out what a normal person is going to look and have kind of a reaction to. And so what's the distraction and what's the strength? And then, kind of bring them together and in a way where, so it's challenging because, the buzzword has been authenticity. Since COVID, everybody wants everybody to be authentic. So there is a real confusion with people, in my opinion, on authenticity meets credibility.
Okay, I'm curious. I want to say, so tell us more here. What did, if you're gonna I was gonna say, if you're gonna clarify for us, I'd say deconfusify. That's not a word. So if you're gonna clarify for us, I love to see it. How does authenticity and credibility really meet in your world?
So authenticity is about being true to yourself and who you are, but also understanding that you have to step up to the level of professionalism of your clients that you serve and where the space that you want to be in. So that means a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to brush my hair today because I'm authentic. And okay, well, that is not like what we mean when we mean being authentic in the a business world, in a business sense. You being authentic in your yoga pants because you love to work out when you go to a place of business is not doing your brand any favors. That's what I mean. Like you're an athlete and you love yoga and it's amazing, and you still have to be a professional when you go to work if you work for someone else. And if you're an entrepreneur, then you get to write your own story on what kind of brand you want to project. And that story is yours to write or have someone help you write it. If you're not getting the if the plot isn't thickening like you want in your entrepreneurial story, then you have to look at why and all the different reasons. Is it part of wanting to be comfortable and being true to me, and when your clients may not understand what that means visually.
I think that's really I love having this conversation right now because you like in a bit I'm gonna go dive a little bit more into you and your story and how all this plays out for you here. But I wanted to spend some time on the actual on some of your work in like from the image side of things and from the brand side of things. And the reason for this here is years ago I had a conversation with someone and they said something to me that changed at least how I started to show up like visually. And I haven't like I have to go deeper down the journey for sure. But I I'm someone who really loved to wear loud shirts, and to be the center of attention. Like there was a really huge part of my life. I'm thinking about my
Oh, that
favorite
was
shirts.
you.
Oh yeah, my favorite shirts. Uh, I'm picturing them like clouds and all these things all over it. And I got to a point where I'm like, okay, to your point, I'm like, okay, it's time to raise the professionalism. Like I'm gonna go with polo shirts going forward, but I want to make sure that it still like has my signature-ness in it, right? And so like I remember going around in this bright yellow shirt, and it was one of my favorite shirts because every time I wore it, people would say something. I'm like, okay, yes, this is working. And I was in a high level mastermind, and someone said something to me. They're like, I got to let you know, when you wear that shirt, we don't see you, we see the shirt, right? And it's like, wow, that shirt is really yellow. Like you happen to be wearing it, but for you, that's how it's coming out. right? And it took some time to go spend some time to find like, okay, what actually works for me. And I'm still in that journey. I'm like, I found certain things do, certain things don't. Where when am I getting blended out into the background? When am I shining? And I just think that I happen to be in a conversation with some high level entrepreneurs who like spoke honestly. They created trust and they said it to me. But I was getting a type of reaction beforehand. And I thought that that reaction was that like people were getting me and I was being like, but like there was actually something else that was happening underneath. And so this conversation that we're having right now like really hits me hard, because from one conversation I started to realize that my message couldn't be heard because like they couldn't see me. They could see my shirt, but they couldn't see me. All right, I want to see what you have on that. If anything's striking out to you on this might be like your whole world
Oh,
as it sits. So
seriously. I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, like, yes,
yeah.
yes, and yes. So you're exactly right. And that's the thing where, I'll have conversations again back to where uh, my world has been for so many years, had a patterned dress. Let's just use this as kind of an example. So, the information that I give out whenever, and this is for all the outliers and everything too, when you're doing a big presentation or you've got a large audience, solids are your friend because there's not that way they're focused on you, they see you, you want to pop from your background and where you are but not too much, and that's where custom color analysis is important because depending on the level of contrast between your hair, skin, and eyes dictates how much color you should be wearing here. So it sounds like you were wearing way more bold neon yellow than your skin could handle. And what ends up happening is you get compliments because you're the hanger for your garment. So when you enter a room, you're going to get compliments because they don't even see you. They see that shirt. Hey, man, it's good to see you. Man, I love that shirt. It's because that's all they see. It's not because the shirt's doing you a favor. It's actually, what's the word? Not outshining, overstay. It's one upping you. Like, so that, people will say, I'll say, don't wear a print and pattern dress on camera. Well, no, last week I got 3 emails about how amazing that this dress was and they love this dress. And I said, but right, that's the whole point. Like they heard nothing about the horrific accident that happened during the noon hour because they were either in love with your dress and telling their friends and writing you an email, or they were hating it and spraining their thumb, changing the channel. So people are so affected visually, and even they'll say, "Oh, well, I can't believe you're telling me this. My news director told me how much they gave me a compliment on it." I said, it's because when you walked around the corner, they didn't know what else to say. Because when you see someone, your face says everything about receiving their reflection, receiving their image. And when you look at someone and something takes you by surprise, you feel like you've got to say something and you want to say something positive because nobody wants a startled face and then to say something like, oh God, that dress. You want to go startle and go, oh God, that dress. You're saying the same thing and you're just trying to say that, like, that's the exact same thing that you're saying. That I love how you equated that to what I do because it's 100% what I do. And what a lot of times people don't understand is the power of color and the power, not only color in your wardrobe, but the color in your brand. Color basis is the name of my company because color is the basis for all things. Like everything is color oriented. And from flowers to shoes to dogs to birds to everything to skin tones. And And color does matter. Color affects us psychologically, emotionally. You know, red is a passion color. It's power. It evokes emotion and passion or rage. So I tell meteorologists, you know, if it's a severe weather day, if your strategy is to scare people and have them want to keep watching for the latest in the news, then wear a red tie because it raises your pressure. And if your strategy is to comfort and guide your audience in storms, then you're going to wear a blue or a softer purple, something that's going to be soothing to them. And these are just tiny little subconscious things that we are not even aware of, but there's study after study after study that it all does ring true, whether we want to admit that it does or not. It does.
This is like I love hearing you talk about this, Christy, because as you're talking about like your mastery of this is so high, right? And I really enjoy being with masters. There's something about the fact that you're able to see what we like what we're all looking at the same thing, but you're able to see it with such nuance that it ends up pulling out something a very different response. Like it's just a tie, be like, but it evokes something in it. So Outliers, I'm going to invite you right now. I'm going to spend some time to think about like what you're putting out into your world visually, whether it's on a day to day, whether you're in the office, whether you're behind a camera, you're on social, like spend some time thinking through that, like really observe it. Right? And like there's something in what Christy's saying right here that like there's what really hits me is like when like 'cause we're in such an attention economy, what gets me is that element of like thinking you are getting attention and it's just not actually you. Like there's something about that that just like guts me. It's like wow, this one message, this one video went viral or whatever it is. That got so many more like likes, got so many more people like interacting with it, and it was like yeah, no, but not for why you wanted it to. And that to me, I think is something. Um, like just in hearing this, it's making me slow down quite a bit. And it's also about like the element of up leveling. So that's one of the major themes that comes up in our conversations here, where outliers are saying, okay, I've played at a certain level, I've created a certain level of success, and now I'm trying to move up to the next one. And part of what I feel like I'm hearing from you is like, hey, the visual look in here actually plays a role in at least getting keeping the door open or having someone like open a door for you way more than you may seem and you may think. And throughout the conversation, it's also playing it continues to play a role as well.
Oh, absolutely. To stop the scroll. I mean, that's the whole idea, right?
Mhm.
Is to stop the scroll and the color. And I would also say that it's important to realize that the saturation of color also seems to have a monetary value to it. And the really bright, loud colors, um, you don't see those in luxury brands unless it's sport luxury, athletic luxury, sports car luxury. But in really high-end luxury, it's more the level of saturation like the shirt that you're wearing as opposed to a bright orange. It's a more elegant um, way of the color presenting itself, which shows you, which I will say you've done an amazing job
Oh, I
in
will
this
take
color
that.
today.
I
Because
will
I mean,
take
just
that.
in so little
Yeah,
nitnoid things, just so you
yeah.
can say, okay, well, what are you even looking at when you look at how someone looks good in color? So, like for you, this color, you have warm undertones. Mostly, in doing a custom color analysis, you just use tons of different colors to see which ones work and which ones don't. And I do the one that's not the spring, summer, fall. It's customized with like 2,000 colors. But for you, you can tell this color looks so good on you because your skin, like you look bright, you look refreshed. It's pulling out this shade of the coral here is pulling out that natural pigmentation that God gave you in your lips. Like when you look and go, what's a color that's going to look good on me? Let me just give you a little basics. Who doesn't love a freebie, right?
I'll take it.
So,
Yes.
so you can never go wrong with your hair color, your eye color. Want to know what pink or red looks good on you? Look at your hemoglobin. What's the hemoglobin? That's your blood in your skin. That's your gums. That's what color here, your tongue. That's what color pink or red you should be wearing because that's what will harmonize with you and really set you off. You don't want to go with something way brighter because then there you are, your garment's upstaging you, but then you don't want to go with something so pale either because then it washes you out completely and you look tired. Like if you have like a light gray color, nobody should wear, unless you have the darkest skin and maybe you need a little light thrown up here, like in video presentations or whatever. You want to avoid really muted colors unless you have really muted coloring, like a very fair skin with light blue eyes with a blonde hair, soft gray hair is a beautiful and a sky blue. Sky blue on me because light, dark, hello. Everybody like, you feeling okay?
Hmm.
Yeah, why? Oh, I don't, the color is draining you. So, so yeah, sometimes, oh, what else? You were saying something, and this bubbled up in me where it's important not only to wear the right thing when you're out in a public environment, but even at home. It
Hmm.
really, when you wake up and you just feel like, blah. So what do? You go to the closet or the drawer and you pick out the most blah thing in your wardrobe. You get sweats, you get whatever, you get the wrinkled shirt and you put it on because it feels good and you can just stay like this because that's how your clothes are. If you can just have the mindset to put on something that makes you feel better, immediately you feel better. And so if you work from home, then wear something cute for you. Maybe your dog and cat's the only one that sees you, but you know what? You see you. You see you when you go to the mirror and you walk by and just, you deserve to dress for you.
This is the like I appreciate it and thank you. Just so you know, my mind is racing. I'm like, okay, this is what's staying, this is what's going. I can already I'm already going through my things, but I really like this element of like you see you, right? And because I think it's like this is where the mastery like lies for me, where my whole game is seeing people, right? And then saying, okay, now what do you do with it? Like, how do we maximize that, right? And so I see you as someone that's like, a comrade spirit in that, where like we have different tools that we use, but we're all like saying, like, how do you see yourself? How do others see you? How do you make sure that you get seen in the first place? How do you make sure you get received as it goes on? What continues to align with the message that you're trying to put out there? What doesn't? And so, Christy, I'm really tickled because usually I'm like we're not going to go into the expertise, but like the mastery of this really is like it's quite lovely, and I think that it speaks to it speaks to a different level of visibility, being seen, and so forth. And I think it's very I don't know, it's had impact on me, and so I'm glad we've been spending some time on it. Right. I'm now going to ask you some deeper questions because I want to get to see a bit about how some of these things have shown up for you. Right. So like, would you mind here? And we probably only have time for like one or two of these right here, but like, you. We're going into like the element of the next level, all right. And so I really thought it was really lovely when it's like when you like, hey, when you're ready to go to the masters, when you're playing out in higher stages, like how you come off visually would also change. But you also talked about how what they see, what's happened on the inside and the external reflection, right? And so I'm curious for you, like what's going on in your world right now that has you playing at a higher level now, that has you going back and saying, okay, like I'm playing a different game, a bigger game, something's changed for me that might have me go back and look at all that I'm doing and recalibrate from there.
Oh, wow. Well, I would say this is going to go back to COVID,
Yeah.
because, my business was, I couldn't do all the work pre-COVID and traveling everywhere, helping everyone with their image and their look and everything. And so then COVID came and, I mean, I was booked from like infinity. I knew where I was going to be for the next number of years. And then when COVID hit, we had the 2 week shutdown, and it was a relief because I didn't have to get on an airplane for 2 weeks. I was like, yeah. And then then week 3 and the shutdown continued, and my schedule cleared. What? Like, my schedule cleared, and because no one knew. And so then everything tanked. My robust national business brand that I had built for solely for so many years was now tanked because of nothing that I had done. And I really, I emotionally just deep dove into a dark place that I really wasn't even aware of until coming out of it and looking back at at where I was, and how it so deeply affected me. And it's taken me this long. I mean, it's 2025. Everybody's like, God, that was 2021. Hello. And it really, I was grieving. I was, grieving the loss of my business that I had built, and I was grieving the loss of my fellowship with my clients, and I was grieving the loss of helping others. There were so many things that I could not even process that was happening with me. And so then I threw myself into volunteering at my kids' school. We moved. So, with all the financial whatever, we sold our house. We moved out into a more rural area, put the kids in a new school. Hmm. Still nothing going on with the business. I'm creative. I need help. I'm going nuts. I'm worried about my kids in this new school because I hadn't heard good things about it. I'm going to go live up there. What's the PTO like? What's the parent teacher organization like? Oh, wait, it's not existent. Oh, well, I know how to build a business. I built my own business. I know how to build brand. So I'm going to do this for the school. So then I threw myself into that for 3 years. It was amazing. Golly, that was more valuable than any money that I've made in a very long time, I would say. And then things shifted, and I have a new opportunity that presented itself by God's grace. It just kind of fell into my lap, just like when I started my business, fell into my lap, and I went with it. It wasn't something that I am known for, and um, I bid on the job. It lined up. I got this great contract that is opening new doors, new avenues, challenging me. It's terrifying because there are things I've never done. But then when I take a look back, I said, I can do that. I mean, look at what I created when I was in my 20s. I'm so much more educated and knowledgeable and comfortable in my own skin. And okay, what's the worst that could happen? I I don't do it well and I get fired. So, okay, well, I can live with that. And so I think the biggest thing is just not being afraid of what you don't know, diving in. That may not have circled back around to answer your question
No,
at
I
all.
think I think it really hit. There's an element here. We're about to start wrapping up this conversation, but I think there's an element here that also shines through about you, Christy. It's like as much as like you have mastery over like your domain from colors and branding and image and such here, you also have mastery of like story and like like pulling us in. There was something like as you were talking, I was like, oh, like I asked the question and you chose to really answer it. And the way that you answered it really was really cool. I was like, oh, we should ask more questions like this because like the way that you just jumped with it just it helps us see. I think this is what's coming. It helps us see the connection between what I know what I want to say. We often compare how we feel on the inside with how others look on the outside, right? And so throughout this conversation, I was having it in such a way where you were talking about like what's happening inside, what's happening outside, and I realized like we're getting the chance to see you on the inside as well. right? It's like we get your expertise and that also shines through. But who you are is like it's shining through even more brilliantly. And that was like with this one question, you know? And so Chrissy, I appreciate that. I'm excited for your edge here. I'm excited for what's coming next. Thank you for bringing you to the conversation, bringing like the way you see the world out there, and just giving us some spaces to be able to look at. It's interesting. It's so I'm trying to wrap up, but at the same time, it's like it hits me. I'm like, as much as we were talking about what was happening visually, like I just kept making parallels to like, oh, where else in my world am I focusing on something that is like actually distracting? Like you use that a lot. You said like minimizing distractions. What I didn't hear was like trying to like step up something else. You're like, actually, let's just take away the things that are getting in the way of what you really want to come out. I would love, if you're good with that, I would love to hear like something on that part about minimizing distractions before we wrap up here. Is there anything you want to put on related to that like philosophy, whether it comes to the image side of things or the brand overall or what?
Oh, wow. Um, well, for me, where I am right now, that's like a deep question as far as like, um, for me, it's really what I've been focusing on is like, what is my purpose in this life? I'm not spring chicken, and I have kids, and the slow in my role with COVID really helped ground me and stop me. I had been grinding it so hard for so long that I didn't even know like what was going on around me. I wasn't unhappy. I was very happy. Everybody around me said life was great. And then life wasn't great. And then a new life is even greater with stopping, being forced to stop, not choosing to stop, being forced to stop and acknowledge the pain, acknowledge that everything fell apart, not try and pretend like it's all good. I don't know if I'm going to get it back together. And just thinking about, well, if I don't, what does that mean? What matters to me? What matters to me is, did when it's time for me to go be with Jesus, did the people that I left behind, what do they remember about me? Was I a good mom? What are my kids going to tell their kids about me? And did I make a difference and a positive impact? I don't want to be known for the things I have. I have nice things. Who doesn't want nice things? But that really doesn't. My house burned down. I lost everything. This was years ago. That's a whole nother story. Blee blee. So material things don't matter, and really stripping it down to what matters will simplify for me. Simplified my direction and intentionality. Am I making up a word? Am I doing you now? My intentionality of what do I want this next chapter to be? This next experience. And now this new experience that I have, like what am I going to bring to the table different than I did before to be the best that I can for this new client? And it's scary. It's scary. And it's exciting and exhilarating and terrifying and exhausting all at the same time. And I'm honored to have been chosen to do that. Just like I'm honored for this time with you today and for you to choose to hear my story and to reflect back on me things that I don't see in myself. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you. Like the way I'd like to end all conversations is to end with actually three things. One, I'm just going to ask outliers out there, for any of you that are listening, please go out and share this out with your world. And there's probably one person in your life right now who really needed to hear this conversation. I ask that you share this conversation with them as a gift. I call it like one person, one conversation at a time. But I'm like, this is the kind of conversation that like 3 years from now, even like will still be really impactful for someone. So please just make sure it finds the right person over and over and over again. And like this impact goes way beyond the moment in time that in which we are having it right now. If you do that, it would mean the world to me. Christy, we're going to end with two things. One, I want to make sure that outliers out there who want to continue down the journey with you, they have a way to do that. So can you let us know how to deepen the journey down with you? And then the second thing that I'm going to ask here, and that's going to be the last question I have, is let's put outliers to the side. Every time I have a conversation, the purpose of it is for it to be impactful, for it to change the world in some way. And so I'll be curious for you, what insight, if any, did you get from this conversation here? So let us know how you can go deeper down the journey with you. And then what's an insight you're taking away from this, if anything?
So they can get in touch with me. So we're on social media, we're at color, COLOUR, basis, BASIS, on everything, colorbasis.com. And why is it, well, anyway, yeah, yeah. And then the what I learned through this is how much just getting to share my story and to talk to you and hear you reflect stuff back to me that I don't see about myself. Like how, like, I mean, I was like at any minute felt like I was gonna start like bursting into tears. It really tapped into some stuff in me that just by sharing, with you and you hearing and reflecting back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, outliers, there we have it for today. Here's the thing. Until the next time that we talk, go ahead and be you on purpose. Journey on.